Tonight it behoves me to talk about the subject of Azariah Chamberlain. Now, if you look at the Hebrew Bible, in the book of Leviticus 16 verse 8, you see this enigmatic phrase. This occurs where in the in the English, verse 8 goes, "Then Aaron shall cast lots over the two he-goats, one lot for the Lord and the other for the scapegoat." Now, in the Hebrew, it's an interesting question, because you see verse 8, we have one goat to Jehovah and one goat will go to Azazel. Now this is an enigmatic phrase. Well, it seems enigmatic, but let's have it's been the pointings, like the actual vowel markings, are from the 8th century AD, which were invented by the Masoretes. So there's some controversy. But if we look at the Brown, Driver and Briggs Hebrew lexicon, well, ironically enough, this is probably why the Masoretes got the idea of the scapegoat, because az is an adverb and there's azal, the verb to go. So it's I don't know about the pointings. I mean, you can argue about the pointings, but I mean, it's obviously not infinitive because there's no wow. But Azal was probably interpreted as at that time to go, or the scapegoat to go at that time. Now. So Azazel, but this in times past, I think in the it's lost in the mist of time, but someone in the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages thought up a kind of, he treated this Hebrew expression as one name, Azazel, and invented this idea of Azazel, which is well, if you interpret this text in a kind of dualistic sort of, Ahura Mazda versus Ahriman, dark versus light, there's one goat to Jehovah and one goat to Azazel. And in the early Middle Ages, there was this interpretation of this Azazel. It was sort of assumed to mean, or this meaning was read into it, where Azazel was some kind of angelic entity, a counterpart to God, or some kind of. And it's also worth mentioning an early idea in Christian centuries about the ransom. It's complicated. The ransom to Satan idea of the atonement, which was which I think is quite a wrong idea. But you see, in its interpretation, you see traces of the idea, because it's very dualistic. But this Azazel became, in popular demonology, some kind of powerful demon or whatever. And he even made its way into Milton's Paradise Lost, amongst other works. Anyway, it's a hopelessly stoned idea, I think, frankly. But it's got a history. But this is Azazel. Well, the scapegoat in the wilderness. But you can't have two different meanings, okay? You can't have two different meanings. You can say, oh, it's a demon, it's some kind of evil angel, or you can say it's a scapegoat. You've got to pick your meaning. But it doesn't even say Azariah. Okay. Now, when Azariah Chamberlain disappeared, and there was this, within days, there was this headlines, screaming headlines in the tabloid press about sacrifice in the wilderness. And from memory, somebody actually printed a photostated excerpt from a Hebrew dictionary to prove that Azariah meant sacrifice in the wilderness. But this is the sort of source of the looniness. But this doesn't even say Azariah. It says Azazel, because that's a chayan, which in European Hebrew philology is considered to be silent. But in Arabic and Sephardic Hebrew, the chayan is pronounced as a glottal fricative. So, it doesn't say Azariah, it says Azazel. Make of it what you will. Now, turn to Brown, Driver and Briggs, Hebrew Lexicon. There's two questions. Because, as I said, the chayan can be seen as a glottal fricative, like in Arabic, or in Hebrew philology, it's seen as a silent, maybe glottal stop, who knows. But here we go, in Brown, Driver and Briggs, Azariah, which is the same as Azariah in the book of Daniel. Now, the three companions of Daniel in the book of Daniel were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. But their names were Hebrew names originally: Azariah, Hananiah, and Mishael. Now, this is where Azariah comes from, and you'll notice it says help. Hazar in Hebrew means help. So Azariah means God is my help. Now, even if you went the other way, ignore the Hebrew as written, and assume that Azariah started with an aleph, you'll note in Brown, Driver and Briggs again, Azar is about armor. Well, it's a verb, to equip. But Azariah with an aleph in Hebrew means God is my armor. And these are written in this manner. With the chayan, you have Azariah, God is my help. God is my help. And you can have, but you can write it with an aleph, you can have Azariah, God is my armor. Now, Azariah, neither of these words mean, as I've shown you, could mean sacrifice in the wilderness. Now, I don't know what was happening in the tabloid press in the 1980s, but to scream these crazy accusations about Lindy Chamberlain being the member of some kooky child sacrificing cult, you could argue did actually go a long way to influence public opinion and possibly the jury on the matter or issue of her likely guilt and involvement in the death of her child, Azariah. But this brouhaha, these aspersions that are thrown at Lindy Chamberlain by the tabloid media are entirely false. Now, yeah.